Effect of pressure means initially I have taken a container and you have this much space at the beginning. Now when I lower the piston, what happens? The volume get decreased. Now you have only this much space. So piston, with the help of piston, we can reduce or increase volume. In a way, we can change volume. That is the purpose of this piston. Again, regarding this diagram, what I mean is when I pull the piston down or when I push the piston down, the volume decreases. If the volume decreases, I can say pressure increase, because by the application of pressure only, it is lowering down. Now imagine in the first case, we have 4 molecules inside the container. So there are this much space and we have 4 molecules inside. And I told we are starting with a gaseous state. This is the first case. What do the gas particles do? We have already studied properties of matter. The gas particles will constantly move. And when it moves, it has no particular manner in which it moves. It will move here and there in all possible directions. And most probably sometimes if you keep your hand here, if you keep your hand on this part of the container, what will happen? If you imagine the microscopic level, if you keep your hand on this wall, what will happen? When this ball come and hit here, you will feel what? A kind of force on your hand. This force we call it as pressure. Pressure exerted by gas. So how do gases exert pressure? By the movement of the particles and collision with the walls of the container. Walls of container. So if a question is asked, explain why do gases exert pressure? If a question comes like that, why do gases, or give reason gas exert pressure, then the answer you must write gas exert pressure due to the collision of gas. Collision of gas with what? With the walls of the container. That is the idea. Why? Because there is a lot of space and gas particles are always in constant motion, and due to this motion they come and hit on the walls, and if they hit on the walls there will be a pressure experience. So this is the general case. First case, again I am repeating, you have a container, you have a considerable amount of space in that. Inside this, these gas particles are able to move freely and you have a certain pressure. Now I am going to increase pressure further. By applying force, I will get the second diagram like this. You can note the difference. Here the volume has increased or decreased. Compare, here the volume is this much. In coming to the second case, the volume has decreased. The volume has decreased comparing to the first case. This is the first case, this is the second case. Now, if that is the case, what will happen? The space also reduced. The space reduced, will the particles move far from each other or come closer? Will these 4 particles move far from each other or come closer? What will happen? Yeah, it is obvious, it is evident, anyone can tell they will come closer to each other. So if they come closer to each other, you can see a position like this. And this was the gaseous state we started with. And if they come closer, we know this gaseous state will eventually turn to what state? Will change to liquid state. So that is the simplest observable effect of pressure. When you increase the pressure on a gas, change of state happens. From where to where? From gas to liquid. Why? Because there is now less space. Less space means the interparticle distance reduced. Now again, if you continue to increase pressure, meaning what? If I continue to push it down, push the piston further down, you will get a diagram like this. Yes or no? Here you can see the space considerably reduced. The space considerably reduced. You have a very little space. Now imagine what will happen to these 4 particles. They have not much space. So they will become even more close to each other. And if you draw the diagram, it will be like this. So what is the conclusion there? The particles almost came very much close to each other, and this is the characteristic of which state? This is a characteristic of which state? This kind of formation. It is a characteristic of solid state. Yeah. So what is the conclusion here? We started with gaseous state and we ended up with solid state. How? By increasing pressure. By increasing pressure. It's a very simple idea. Just keep this diagram in mind. We have a piston. When we lower the piston, the volume or space inside the container reduces. As a result, particles are confined to a very small space. They come close to each other. And change of state happens from gas to liquid and finally liquid to gas. Very simple. Got it? So we have covered change of state of matter 2 possible ways. First one was effect of temperature and this one effect of pressure. I hope these 2 methods are clear. If any doubts, you can ask, no issues. Yeah, summarizing the points, by applying pressure, you can write for exam, by applying pressure, what we actually do, we bring the particles close to each other. We bring the particles close to each other. And that will increase the force of attraction. And you can see a change of state of matter occurring. Now, another important point is this one. It is commonly asked for exam. How can you liquefy gases? How can you liquefy gases? This is a question. And if such a question comes, the answer is what? You can liquefy gases by two methods. One is by application of pressure. Second one is by decreasing temperature, or decreasing temperature means cooling. So if a question comes, how can you liquefy gases? Your answer should be, we can liquefy gases by two methods, by increasing pressure or decreasing temperature. Or decreasing temperature, you can write cooling. Get that thing clear. These are already given in your note. In second chapter, we will study how to liquefy air. Fine. Next is evaporation. Again, very simple. What is the definition of evaporation? It is a simple process of change of state of liquid to gas. Change of state of liquid to gas. That is evaporation. Now, when a question regarding evaporation comes for exam, you should not only write change of state from liquid to gas, but you should add one more condition. And that condition is very, very important. What is that condition? This change of state always happens below boiling point. This change of state happens below boiling point. This statement is very, very important. So whenever you write definition for evaporation, you can write it is a change of state from liquid to gas. And always you have to mention this condition. It happens below boiling point. Can anyone tell me what is boiling point? Can anyone tell me what is boiling point?
100 degrees.
100 degrees Celsius.
Wrong. See, 100 degrees Celsius, we only say for what? Last time we took the example of what? Water. 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of only water. If I take any other liquid, can you give me example for any other liquid? Any liquid other than water. Think of a liquid other than water.
Milk.
Louder. Milk. One more liquid.
Alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol or kerosene. These are all different liquids. So 100 degrees Celsius is only the boiling point of what? Water. If you take milk, kerosene, or alcohol, or any other liquid, it doesn't have what? It doesn't have 100 degrees Celsius as boiling point. No. As the liquid changes, this boiling point tends to changes. So if I ask boiling point, don't give the answer as 100 degrees Celsius. It is wrong. It is the only boiling point of water. When your question is asked what is boiling point, answer is what? It is a temperature value. It is a temperature value at which what happens? At which what happens? A liquid changes to gas by application of what? Heat. And last class I have also mentioned, it always happens at atmospheric pressure. At atmospheric pressure. This is boiling point. So what is boiling point? It is a temperature at which liquid changes to gas at atmospheric pressure. Fine. And for water, you have 100 degrees Celsius. For water, only for water. If you take any other liquid, this quantity changes. Don't think all the liquid have 100 degrees Celsius. No. Now, in boiling, what happens? You should keep temperature. You should increase temperature. Whereas for evaporation, this happens below boiling point. That means if water evaporates at any temperature below what? 100 degrees Celsius. You don't need 100 degrees Celsius for evaporation of water. Most common example that we see in our daily life is the case of what? Drying clothes. We are all familiar with drying clothes. When we wash the clothes, we hang it outside or put it under the fan to dry it. And in all the drying, do we supply heat, or do we heat it, or do we boil it? No, you just simply keep it outside. And keep it outside means it will get what temperature? The outside temperature. Now, outside temperature mostly will be 37, 40. But in your mobile phone, you can observe the daily temperature range. So it is almost in this range. When you keep wet clothes in outside, it eventually dries up. Why? Not by heating, by simply evaporation. That is the difference. You don't need to boil your clothes, no, or heat your clothes. We never do that. You just simply spread the wet clothes around, and as the day progresses, it eventually dries up. Why? Because of evaporation. Because of evaporation. Clear? So this is one example. Wet clothes laid outside in the sunlight becomes dry after some time due to evaporation, not by boiling. Understand the difference. Here itself, you can think of the difference. Another example is this one. Have you seen while walking through the road, roaming here and there daily, you might have seen this, yes or no? What is this called? Stream of water found in roads or any pit or anything. We call this kind of occurrence of water as what?
Puddle.
Yeah, it is known as puddle. And here also, eventually, does it remain there forever or will it dry up?
No.
Yeah, it will eventually dry up.
It will dry up.
Yeah, it will dry up. And what causes that drying? Does anyone go and supply heat? Or does anyone go and boil there? No, it doesn't happen, right? It eventually dry up because of what? Because again of evaporation only. It again happens because of evaporation. Again, sunlight and other heat sources will cause the water to evaporate. So these are two very common examples that we can see what in the daily life. So think of that whenever the term evaporation comes, at least these two examples should come to your mind. And if examples strike you first, you can get rid of that confusion with respect to boiling. Why? Because boiling requires heat. Evaporation doesn't require direct application of heat. Evaporation also requires heat, but doesn't require what? A large amount of heat, such as boiling. Boiling requires very large amount of heat, that is 100 degrees Celsius. Evaporation, no. It can occur at any temperature below 100 degrees Celsius. Clear? Now another example is the case of sweating. We all sweat, and this sweat also eventually what? Dry up. This is also due to evaporation. During summer or hot day only we actually sweat. Sweating is a mechanism that our body adopts to keep yourselves cool. And this sweat also, you can either wash it away. If you don't wash it also, it will eventually dry. Why? Because of evaporation. Now we have to see the key differences between boiling and evaporation. We have already told some differences. In your notebook, note it down, because this I am not given in the PDF notes. Take your notebook, start noting down the key differences between evaporation and boiling. You can start with the definition itself. Think about the definition. What is the definition of boiling?
Boiling requires more heat than evaporation.
Yeah, fine. So first we will write the definition. Definition is boiling is what? Change of state from liquid to gas at boiling point.
Atmospheric pressure.
Yeah, at atmospheric pressure at boiling point. So write it. In short, this is boiling. Change of state from liquid to gas at its boiling point. At its boiling point. Pressure is also same at atmospheric pressure. So that is definition of boiling. Now what is the definition of evaporation? Change of state from liquid to gas at a temperature below boiling point. At temperature below boiling point. That is a definition. So basic definition, make 2 columns for boiling and evaporation. Note it down. Boiling is change of state of liquid to gas at boiling point. Boiling at boiling point. Boiling point and boiling are not same. Boiling is that process. Boiling is that process. That is boiling. Boiling point is what? Boiling point is that temperature value. Again, many of you might confuse between two terms. Again, I'm repeating, boiling and boiling point is different. What is boiling? It is that process of change. Whereas what is boiling point? It is that value. Meaning what? If I take for water, it is 100 degrees Celsius. Boiling point is that just that temperature value. Whereas boiling is that overall process. So that is regarding first difference. Now, what is the second difference? Second difference is what? It happens at a fixed temperature. Boiling occurs at a fixed temperature. Whereas for evaporation, no fixed temperature. No fixed temperature. Evaporation, you can tell it can almost occur at all temperature. No fixed temperature. Now, third thing you can see from the diagram itself. In boiling, we usually supply heat. Suppose here I have supply heat. And this heat is absorbed by all the particles around. That means from top to bottom, boiling occurs. If top to bottom boiling occurs, we'll say this is a bulk phenomenon. This is a bulk phenomenon. So that is with respect to boiling. Boiling is a bulk phenomenon, meaning when you supply heat, all the particles from the top to bottom absorb this heat and they continues to change from liquid to gas. So this is the meaning of bulk phenomenon. Whereas for evaporation, I told we are not supplying heat. There is no heat supply. So what will happen? They will only get heat from what? The surrounding. Suppose if sun is there, they will only get heat from the surrounding. And heat from the surrounding means which particles have more chance to get the heat? Only particles present at the surface. That means at the top level. All the particles present on the top will have the chance for getting more heat. So we will say evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Very simple idea. Boiling is a bulk phenomenon, meaning all the particles from top to bottom get heat because we are supplying heat. Whereas in evaporation, only particles at the surface will get heat. Only particles at the surface will get heat. Got the idea? So write down second one. It is a bulk phenomenon. Bulk phenomenon. Whereas evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Surface phenomenon. We have 3 differences now. Now we'll just write 2 more differences. Next is again a topic. We'll study evaporation always have cooling effect. Cause cooling. Evaporation cause cooling. That is our last topic in your textbook that we will cover in shortly. Whereas boiling, no cooling. It does not cause cooling. This we'll study in detail in next class. What do you mean by cooling effect of evaporation? Now just note it down. Evaporation causes cooling, whereas boiling no cooling. One classic example is the case of what? An application of any deodorant or perfume Have you ever tried a deodorant sprayed on your hand? Immediately you can feel a cooling sensation. That is because of evaporation. So that is the simplest example of cooling effect of evaporation. Whenever you apply a amount of deodorant on your hand, it suddenly evaporates and that causes a cooling effect on your hand. Now, last difference you can write, boiling is generally faster. Boiling is generally faster, whereas evaporation is a slow process. It is a slow process. Why? Because in boiling, we are giving heat energy. So it occurs readily. Whereas evaporation, there is no heat energy. It depends on what? External sources. So on a cold day, evaporation is very slow. Whereas on a very hot day, evaporation is occurring very fast. So it is a slow process, whereas boiling is a faster process. So these are the main differences with regard to boiling and evaporation. I hope you have completed. Now, next is factors affecting evaporation and evaporation process cooling that we will cover tomorrow. So we'll end the meeting. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.